Hello and welcome to Gambling with an Edge. This episode's about a week late and the topic is different than what was posted in the last one, which would have been tournament odds. It will still be the next one, most likely next week. This video is having an edge within fantasy sports through sites like DraftKings and FanDuel. Go over some different key elements that are important to note so that when you're playing, you can do the best you can to have the risk reward on your side to be favorable. Now within these sites, you can notice that the rake can be very, very high. Say for example, they have a $1,000 guaranteed $1 tournament. They're going to try to get up like 1,150 people in there, which is about a 15% rake. Extremely high. So by playing those, you really want to make sure you're getting very good rake back. You want to make sure you have a very huge edge as far as your analysis of the players that you pick. Picking the players, I've been doing that for years. I've only been doing this DraftKings for this football season. Picking players is a skill set in itself, understanding how that particular individual is going to fare out against the opponents that he'll be playing against. You look at different things, like for example, if you're playing a running back, how well does the opposing team do against the run? Does it look like the offense is going to implement a running game? Teams that lose, well, they usually shut the running game in the second half down, so I'm going to look at that aspect. Different key elements that are important to note. Another important thing is the cost. The stud players like the Antonio Browns and the DeMarco Murrays, they're going to cost you a lot. And oftentimes they can be worth it because they get you those points week in and week out. But you also want to look for the people that are very cheap that can ensure that you can get more of the top players within, of course, the salary cap of the game. So one example is, okay, we have this week, for example, the starting running back of Cincinnati Bengals, Giovanni Bernard, is not playing. So his backup, Jeremy Hill, will be playing, and he's the league minimum to pay for this. So that can give you a player that would give you excellent value for your buck. Now another key strategy is when you're playing these tournaments that have massive first, second, third, fourth place kind of finishes, it's important, I believe, to take the AKA gambles on players that have high probability of having big games, but also may do bad oftentimes as well. I call these players hit or miss, also known as boom or bust. I highly recommend playing boom or bust players, even 3 or 4 on your roster if need be, to give you the best chances of having your whole roster being stacked and massive games. And again, when you're looking for these boom and bust players, look for the spots that this might be the week where this one receiver who or maybe a third of the time gets massive points, or a quarter of the time gets massive points. This might be one of those spots where I think he'd be able to do it. Another one is when everybody knows a particular side, and Jeremy Hill this week was a perfect example. We'll see how well I'll be right on this. But I'm expecting the vast majority to take him. Now, if you can use your analysis to think, I don't know if it's going to work for that player. He's the obvious choice, but is he really all that talented? And with that being the case, is it maybe smart to not play him, realizing 33, 40, 44% of the people will, and by having a bad day, if that's the case, that really helps you out large because a large percent of the field is now going to get hit on one of their roster spots. So another key thing when you're looking at these tournaments. Now when you're playing head-to-head, no, I don't like the strategy of playing the boom or bust kind of players because you're only facing up against one opponent. And when you're playing head-to-head, again, the rake is so high, you got to win like 55% of the time to break even. That's very, very hard to do. Also, we try to get in on these guarantees. It was interesting, just about a couple weeks ago, I'm looking at the hockey games, and games start around 7 o'clock Eastern time, so I'd be on there at 6:58, 6:59, looking for games that were not going to fill up, and for 3 days, I was hitting them all over the place. Lately, that has not been the case. So look for the guarantees. Maybe they'll come up. If they do, take advantage of it. Try to get negative rake. An example of negative rake is, again, say you're playing a $10,000 $1 game. If 8,500 or 9,500 people play, or I guess it's positive rake, you get positive rake, they would get negative rake on your side. Something else to look for within those games. Another one is the referral bonuses. This can make a big difference in your rake if you can ensure that you can get a couple just to help you through. Right now, at least on DraftKings, they have an amazing promotion that I've been taking advantage of, where if you can refer 2 people who make at least a $5 deposit, you get a free $27 tournament ticket. Okay, so the value of these tournaments are about $25, so we'll say $25 for it, depending on, of course, how it works out on the field, but it can really, really help within the rake. So what I did, I made a challenge last week, and if you want part of the challenge, go ahead, check the video out. It should be up for the rest of the year. If it's up, the challenge is still active. If you beat me heads up, I'm giving away a $1 silver dollar coin from Canada. Value of that with the depressed silver prices, I'm selling it for 12, and I refuse to go lower than that, regardless of how much lower the price goes. So to me, it's worth 12. It cost me a couple bucks to ship. So 14 is my risk. I expect to win these heads-up matches about 55% of the time, but you never know. Might get unlucky. I might be playing somebody who's damn good as well. But even if I win 50% of the time, my net cost on average is 12, and I get back about 25. So risk-reward on my side, really good. So if you want to challenge me, check out the challenge video. Again, it should be up until the end of 2014. And we'll make it happen. So yourself, if you got an account, if you know people that can sign up, or if you got ways of sharing links, heck, it might work out. Get yourself a free few tickets. That pays $1 million for first and minimum cash of 40. So it's definitely worth doing. And when you look at your week, you can determine based on how strong you suspect your probabilities to be. That's how big you play. If you think you got, man, I got so much information, I really, really, really like it, go a bit bigger. If you don't, play cheap. And when you're looking to get in at the guarantees of the last few seconds, the way you will want to do it, set up your lineup for a free roll or a cheap 25-cent game. And then your lineup is saved. So when you go to register for a game, they'll ask you if you want to use the same lineup, and of course you will. That's how you would do it with, like, say, 5 seconds left in the time. You register at that point, of course, to try and get the amazing deals. Okay, so that'll be it for this weekend. Good luck with in your fantasy football challenge, and I hope that someone challenges me heads up. Take care.